to launch off. And today's sing-along will be starring Mr. Beck.
It's actually hot. Oh. Anybody's listening, it's on.
What is today? Today is 5/22.
Text Jane to. We're on. Okay, good evening. And before we get started, I'd like to mention that we're being closely monitored, so if I duplicate some things, bear with me. But welcome to the Foxborough Conservation Commission's meeting, May 22nd, 2023, 7 p.m. at the Gala Meeting Room in the Town Hall of Foxborough, which is located at 40 South Street. That was an omission from another one. We are meeting, I'm not sure if we have anyone in on Zoom, but we have that capabilities, meeting in live, and the meeting is being televised on Foxboro Cable Access, channel 22 or 38. And I think that covers the technicalities. Is that it, Diana? Okay. Yep. With that, I will open the meeting. Do we have any public comments at this time? If not, I'd turn the meeting over to Diana because we're going to have a reorganization. I will mention that one member has recently resigned, Jeff Ames, so we're down to 6 members, but Diana?
All right, you guys need to do a reorganization. So we need a chairman, a vice chairman, and a clerk. So it's open to nominations, so you just need a nomination and a second, and then if everybody votes on it. We also, you want to do those before we do the liaisons for NRRC and REC? I just had, Jeff was only for recreation.
Yeah.
Rich is still NRRC, so if you want to keep NRRC.
I think we should mention that.
So it says Jeff was the recreation liaison and member, so I don't know if he was the member of the recreation.
Yep.
So, up to you. What do you want to do?
Well, that needs to be included as well.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you. All right, so you need to elect a new chairman or keep the old chairman, but you need a nomination for a chairman. I can't do it. You guys have to, so.
I'll nominate Bob for chairman.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Vice chairman, nominate Jim.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
And clerk, I'll nominate David.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then as Mr. Bodie mentioned, Jeff Ames was the recreation liaison and member of the recreation committee. So you need a new person to step up to that.
I nominate Rebecca.
You okay with that?
Second.
I'm fine, he asked me.
Okay. I was like,
I talked to her.
you second? All right.
Second.
Okay.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. Yeah.
And Rich, to remain as NRRC. So I would nominate Rich for the NRRC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for confidence in re-electing me. I hope everything turns out okay. With that, 7:05, we have a 10. Do we have the folders?
We can't do these minutes and never start these.
Okay. East Street is the first one. Thank you. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, May 22nd, 2023, at 7:05 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom on a request for determination of applicability filed by Woodcare Properties, LLC, for the replacement of a failed septic system at 164 East Street, Assessor's Map 97, Parcel 039, within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. Mr. Buckley.
Good evening,
Mr.
Mr.
Gray.
Chairman.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Cameron Gray. I'm here tonight on behalf of our client, Acres Properties LLC, to discuss the request for determination of applicability that was filed for our project at 164 East Street. If I could share my screen, I'll get the plan up for everyone. There we go. All right. So 164 East Street is located on the northeastern side of East Street. It's located just to the west of the intersection with Comcast Street. Currently, the property contains an existing three-bedroom, single-family home that is serviced by a cesspool. So there's two cesspools on the property. It's kind of hard to see, but one of the cesspools is just behind the septic tank right here.
Okay,
Drag it up.
Peter, can you see it, or is it stand in your way?
No, he lifted it.
Okay, all right.
All right, so one of the cesspools is located here, and then there's also another cesspool located here. So I think it's worth noting that both these existing cesspools are currently within the water table. So there's wetlands located at the back of the property that are flagged by the Park Corporation and located by an on-the-ground survey by this firm. So we're proposing to pump, crush, and fill those existing cesspools and construct a new system in accordance with Title V and the local regulations. So we will be tying into the existing outlet pipe going out to the cesspool at the septic tank here. And the septic tank will feed into a pump chamber, which will then be pumped up to our leaching field located in the side yard here. So we had originally proposed a stone and pipe septic system here, but after discussion with the Board of Health, we chose to go with an alternative system. So we went with a Presby system. So the system will consist of 150 feet of Enviro septic lines on a 27-foot by 15.5-foot sand bed. So the septic tank will be located 75 feet from the wetlands at its closest point, and the leaching field will be 97 feet from the wetlands at its closest point. The erosion control for this project will consist of a 12-inch silt sock that will be installed prior to construction and will be removed after the system is complete. We've already been before the Board of Health with this system, and they've approved our design with the requested waivers. Yeah. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
When you're digging for the septic tanks, where are you going to keep the soils? Are they going to be away from, closer to the house?
Yeah, I could add a note or just speak with the contractor to make sure when he's excavating that he stays on towards the house and towards the driveway here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also have the erosion control fence and that will act as his limit of work. So it's this red line right here.
Okay.
and I show it going up around the existing basketball court that's there.
All right. Jane, did you have any comments?
No, as you know, I feel that a new septic system always is better than an old septic system,
Yes.
especially one that's in the water table.
Exactly. Any comments from the board?
No.
Nope. Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to give a negative determination for 164 East Street, map 097, page 039.
Second?
Discussion? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Before I start on the next one. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, May 22nd, 2023, at 7:10 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom on a request for determination of applicability filed by Renee Olson for the replacement of a failed septic system at 33 Granite Street, Assessors Map 78, Parcel 21, within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. Mr. Gray?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Again, my name is Cameron Gray. I'm here tonight on behalf of our client, Renee Olson, to discuss the request for determination of applicability for the project at 33 Granite Street. If I could share my screen again, I'll get the plan up for everyone. So 33 Granite Street is located on the northern side of Granite Street, just to the northeast of the intersection with Union Street. The property contains an existing 3-bedroom, single-family home that is once again serviced by a cesspool located in the backyard. We'll zoom in for everyone. This one's a little bit harder to see. So it's right at the edge of my field, right here. But you can see my existing line coming out. So, once again, this cesspool is located within the water table. The wetlands are located at the back of the property, and were flagged by the Park Corporation and located in on-the-ground survey by this firm. So we're proposing to pump, crutch, and fill the existing cesspool and construct a new system in accordance with Title V and the local regulations. So ideally, we would be moving the septic system out front to try and get further away from the wetlands located in the back. But due to the existing outlet pipe, it currently comes out underneath the foundation. And she also has a stone patio constructed here. So it'd be tough for us to get a septic tank, and it would require us to pump almost around up here. But even if we did get to up front, there's existing utilities. We got our water service here. We have an existing gas line here, and there's also existing rock outcrops on either side. So we felt the ideal location for the septic system was located in the rear of the home. So we'll be tying into the existing outlet pipe at the septic tank, and the leaching field will sit in the backyard here. And again, after discussions with the Board of Health, we went with the alternative system, the Presby system. So it'll consist of 150 feet of the enviro septic lines on a 32-foot by 13-foot sand bed. The septic tank will sit 74 feet from the wetlands at its closest point, and the leaching field will be about 55 feet from the wetlands at its closest point. Erosion control for this project will consist of a 12-inch silt sock, which I show right here in red, sitting right along the 25-foot no disturb. And this silt sock will be installed prior to the start of construction and will remain in place until the system is complete. We've been before the Board of Health with this system also, and they've approved our design with all the necessary waivers. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
What's a rock outcrop?
So just giant pieces of ledge, basically, in the front yard.
Granite Street.
Great, nearby.
Okay. Yeah, this is a much tougher one than the previous one that was
Yeah.
out there. It's very tight.
Exactly, yeah, and our lots, it's significantly smaller than our previous projects, so we're kind of restricted on where we can go.
Actually, you're going over your neighbor's yard.
Yeah, to gain access to
Gain
even
access.
get our equipment back there.
Yeah. So, again, it's an improvement. Anybody, any comments? Any comments from the audience? I feel like I did that before. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion for a negative determination for 33 Granite Street, map 078, page 021.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? I got that.
Sorry.
Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 267, the Conservation Commission will open a public meeting on Monday, May 22nd, 2023, at 7:15 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom on a request for determination of applicability filed by Eric Pisa for the installation of an 18 by 32 in-ground pool at 2 Lakeview Terrace, Assessors Map 77, Parcel 7, within 100 feet of a wetland resource area.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Come on up, use the mic, please. We're being televised and recorded. How are you doing this evening?
Good. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Yeah, so just looking to install an in-ground pool.
Your name?
Oh, sorry. Eric Pisa,
Thanks.
2 Lakeview Terrace, the homeowner, and I'll be doing all the work as well. So looking to install a in-ground pool, 18 by 32, about 3'10" deep. And it's outside the 100-foot wetlands buffer.
Just barely, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, as you dig, are you going to take away all the soil?
I'll take away, yeah, I'm gonna take away what's not being used for backfill.
Okay. Jane, did you talk about having a barrier, silt barrier or anything?
I didn't, because essentially, if the wetland delineation is accurate, which the determination does not determine, then I did not talk about doing that, because it's basically outside. And I did ask you that if you had any, if the the limit of work would go into the 100-foot at all?
Yep.
And will it, do you think?
No.
Okay.
I'll actually probably gonna make it 16 feet wide, the pool itself,
Okay.
just to make it, you know what I mean, make it so it definitely,
Okay, my concern is if it rains, if you dig in the hole and you get it beyond the 100-foot buffer.
Yep.
Then is possible silt going into the wetlands.
Yep.
That's my only concern.
I always tell people that I don't want to see any silt getting into the wetlands, and you don't either. So if
No.
you think that it might happen, you could probably put some inexpensive silt fencing up along
yeah,
the
definitely.
boundary.
Whatever you guys want.
Yeah, just make sure it doesn't happen. that's all.
Absolutely.
Neither one of us wants that.
Is it a
So-
freshwater pool or?
It's gonna be salt water.
Oh, okay.
So you're accessing it through your existing driveway?
Yeah. Everything will come down the driveway, and then you can see I have there's an existing path right there that's kind of right on the property that I can get to.
Salt water, do you have to back flush?
I'm not quite sure. No, I don't know.
I don't
think
think
so.
you have to
I don't
for
think, no,
saltwater
it's
filters.
much less maintenance than chlorine.
Okay. If you have to back flush it, keep it away from the wetlands.
Yes.
Yeah, if you ever have to empty it for
Yeah,
any
pump it out.
reason,
Yeah,
yeah, pump it out as far away,
yeah,
in a vegetated area
Yep.
on the opposite side.
Absolutely.
Away from the wetland.
for sure.
Looks like he's supposed to encroach.
Yeah, that's coming up later. It's not now.
That's phase 2.
Any other questions, comments?
No?
Yep.
Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for Two Lake Terrace, map 077, page 007, for a negative determination.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You have the paperwork? The paperwork. Oh, by the way, a negative determination is good for you.
Good. It doesn't sound good.
That's what you want to hear.
No, did we forget, you forget.
Do
to
we
tell
have any
people.
questions from the audience, by the way, while we're...
First time here, can you tell?
Yeah.
You're all set.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Okay, 7:20. That's Walnut Street. Yeah, that's just Walnut Street. Pursuant to, excuse me, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Foxborough's Wetland Protection Bylaw 267, Conservation Commission will open a public hearing on Monday, May 22nd, 2023, at 7:20 p.m. in the Gala Meeting Room, Foxborough Town Hall, 40 South Street, or via Zoom on a notice of intent filed by Michael Potch, Foxborough Country Club, Inc., for the relocation and installation of an irrigation pump and wet well at the irrigation pond near the 7th hole at 33 Walnut Street, Assessors Map 145, Parcel 27. Portions of the proposed work lie within 100 feet of a resource area. Mr. Buckley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's been a long weekend. I'm swifted out.
Okay.
Good evening. My name's Tom Buckley. I'm a member of the Board of Governors at the Foxborough Country Club. With us tonight is Sarah Stearns. She's on via Zoom. She's our environmental engineer. She'll be doing the presentation.
Okay.
And Mr. Michael Park, who's the superintendent of the country club. Sarah?
Good evening. Could everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you for the Zoom option. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. I had planned to, but life got in the way this afternoon. So thank you for this option. Mr. Chair, is it okay if I share my screen?
Certainly.
And just for the record, Sarah Stearns with Beals and Thomas, and I will put up. Everyone see that okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Great. So as Mr. Buckley said, is a proposal from the Foxboro Country Club to replace an existing pump house and wet well at their irrigation pond, roughly in this area of the course. I can zoom in on an aerial here, a little bit more clear. So here is the main irrigation pond. We call it the Hole 7 pond. And essentially, as our NOI has noted, that this is part of a long-term strategic plan for the club to increase water efficiency and storage. And this is part of a replacement of a course-wide irrigation system, but this is the piece that is sort of the driver and for our notice of intent. So what we're proposing is to replace the pump system that's on sort of the southern side of the pond now and put it in an area that's more accessible for the club on the opposite side, the northern side of the pond. This obviously will require work in the resource area itself as well as the buffer zone, and we've illustrated the proposed temporary work within the pond and the buffer zone to install the well and pump system to draw the water from the pond. It's worth noting that this is a human-made pond constructed for the purpose of irrigation in the 1980s and is obviously manipulated throughout the Gulf season for water supply. So this is something that really is a positive for this type of water body and really will increase the efficiency along with the new irrigation system that's also proposed course-wide later this year. The club has been speaking with Sumco Eco Contracting as the potential contractor for the installation of this project. They are well-versed in this type of work and have worked in many resource areas with great success. Beals and Thomas has worked with them on a number of projects as well. So I can definitely vouch for their care and thoughtful approach to this type of work. And just to kind of hone in on the specifics, the NOI talks in more detail about this, but just, so we have something on the record. As I mentioned, we'll be working in the buffer zone to both bank and a BBW to the northern area of this pond, and our calculated impacts, and they're temporary in nature, as you can imagine, but it's really only about 10 linear feet of the bank that will need to be worked on as part of this project for the install, and about 850 square feet of temporary impact to land underwater. And again, that's really just related to the construction itself. The overall use of the pond will continue as it has been for many years, so there's really no change there. I guess I will ask Mike or Tom if they wanted to add anything else, and I will open up the plans.
I don't have anything else. I don't know.
For the electrical supply going there, is that all underground or is it overhead?
Underground.
Underground, so will there be any disturbance?
The existing line now runs through the bank between, there's two ponds there.
Okay.
It runs now underneath that we're going to abandon that in place. And if I say anything wrong, please. We're going to abandon that in place. We're running a new line down from the clubhouse, so it won't be crossing that berm again. It'll just run right to it. I don't think that it'll come in the back side of it, and it hasn't been put in yet, but it will be.
Other questions?
They don't show the location of where the new pump system is on this plan. They show all the information about the existing, and then some stabilization, sedimentation control, but they don't show anything up here.
That last, yeah, right where
So
she
if
has
you
the
look
plan.
at, if you have the plan sets in front of you, this sheet, C31,
Yep.
shows the proposed building location. This is the pump house on the edge of the pond, and this is the wet well going into the pond itself. And there's a little image in the lower left-hand corner of this that has the aerial photo to just try to illustrate it a little bit more clearly.
Sarah, can you zoom in on that one and bring it to the top
Yep.
of the screen, please?
Yeah.
So are there alterations to that gravel path, cart path as well? That'll be done,
The existing gravel path will still be there, and it'll just be the same.
okay.
And then we'll actually build a road. We're actually going to build a road to the pump house too. Because we need a crane in there, so.
Okay.
Oh, I see how it is. This is the pond.
Jane, any comments?
No. I met with Sarah, and she informed me that this project had been downsized in a big way as far as alterations go. Maybe you should start with that story.
Sure. So at one point in time, the club had a more elaborate plan for this pond, and it was originally thought that maybe we would expand the larger pond and connect the smaller pond as a way to increase the storage, and that would remove the berm between the two. But it became a larger project, and I think too large. And in talking with DEP, it was going to be difficult to permit that. So instead, the club decided to focus just solely on kind of the critical nature of the project and get the new pump station and intake well in place to really just increase the efficiency and remove an aged system that's been there for a long time.
And also, I think it's important to add that this was probably man-made, because it all of a sudden appears on the landscape in the aerial photos back, I don't know how many years, but it was made as an irrigation pond.
Okay.
Correct.
Do you have any intentions of taking out some of the accumulated muck sediments to make it deeper, like the other pond on the 16th?
No, not this time.
No?
It was done and they did it again. They dredged at some point. When they built it, it's pretty, there's nothing really, there's no leaves or anything that collect in it, so no, the bottom is not really mucky at all. But no, yeah, no plants.
And if you remember, maybe from the last project we were in front of you with on the 16th hole, that pond was much smaller and shallower and subject to sedimentation, whereas this is significantly larger and deeper and has benefited and survived better through the sedimentation.
You happy with it, Jane?
It looked good to me. I was looking back at my notes, and you had said that we were going to schedule a site visit to go and look at it, and the past several weeks have been a little crazy, so I never scheduled one, but I would like to get out to see it, because I didn't go for the first one.
We can make that happen. We can work around your schedule.
Okay.
I'm there 7 days a week.
Any nice day will do.
Right.
There's a lot coming up.
So you want to schedule a site visit then?
All right. Want to schedule one sometime next week?
I'm there every day, so.
Whatever you want to do, Jane.
Monday's Memorial Day.
Yes, it is, and I'm camping, so.
We won't be there that day.
How about maybe Tuesday, because I have a long day Tuesday, so I always like to get out for site visits on that day. Anytime better than others for you?
What time works for you? You want to do it in the morning?
10
afternoon?
o'clock, 11 o'clock?
Whatever, I'm there all day, so.
All right,
10 o'clock's fine?
sure.
Shall we bring our club's employee up to the hole?
It'll be the 8 o'clock tea time. Just in time for 10 o'clock.
Tuesday.
The 30th, okay.
So what time do we,
10 a.m.?
10 a.m. Tuesday, the 30th?
Tuesday, the 30th, yes.
I can make it.
anybody else make it then?
Yeah, I think I can.
I should be able,
I can, I'm like 50/50, but I can probably make it.
Especially if it's a nice day.
That has nothing to do with it, unfortunately, no.
Well, for me, it does.
Yeah, sure.
I prefer that. I'm kind of a wimp, I guess.
Okay, Diana, could you get that posted?
Site visits don't have to be posted as long as they're observational and no discussions take place.
Oh, okay.
May I ask, the work at the 16th hole pond, has that been completed?
No, this fall. We haven't-
You gotta wait until it tries to dry out more?
right, yep.
Okay. Anything else?
They do have their DEP number. It came like an hour after I posted this agenda, so it's
What's that?
6:20. They do have their DEP number. It came after I posted this agenda, so
Okay.
it's 6:24.
Also, it has some notes on it. If maybe you could explain what those notes mean as far as this permit goes? The notes on the
From
DEP
DEP, Jane?
notification.
Oh, okay.
Did you see it? I guess not.
I'm sorry, I'm just having trouble hearing you. Are you talking about the DEP notes?
Yes.
Yep. I actually have a call into Maysoon at the Southeast region, just asking her what it means. My understanding was that our order of conditions would satisfy the 401 water quality certificate criteria. So I'll let you know if I get in touch with her and what her response is as soon as I speak with her.
Okay, good, thank you.
I think either way, it shouldn't hold up this process.
Yeah.
I think if DEP wants us to file a separate 401 water quality certificate application, sometimes they require that the order of conditions be submitted to them anyway. So I'll just find out what she'd like us to do or what her thinking is, but I just haven't been able to connect with her yet.
Normally, we have a boilerplate condition that says all other permits need to be acquired before beginning, and if any of the permits change the plans at all, you'd need to come before the commission and ask whether you need an amendment or if it's just administrative or whatever. So it's all, yes, the order of conditions does have a lot of different conditions in it that should cover a lot of things.
Just before we continue this, any comments from the audience? Not, then we'll continue it to our next meeting,
June 5th at 7:15.
7. Somebody want to make that motion?
Make the motion to continue 33 Walnut Street till June 5th. DEP
624.
157624.
second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the Neponset Reservoir update. Mr. Lewis, and good evening.
Good evening. Rick Lewis, I'm treasurer of the NRRC. Inc., a nonprofit organization that is chartered with looking after weed and nutrient issues associated with Neponset Reservoir. Recently, Colin and Ken Wagner did a survey of the reservoir looking at invasive weed species. And if you recall, we did a reservoir-wide treatment with, what was
Sonar.
Sonar?
Yep.
In 2021, and no treatment was required whatsoever in last year in 2020, or 2022, rather.
Going the right way.
Yeah, go the right way. So I go back in time, you know. That report from Ken Wagner, I know I sent to
Yep,
Rich
they
Galemi.
did it.
Did that get
I
forwarded
forwarded,
on?
I just
Okay.
distributed it.
Okay, so he did a very quick job of turning that around. What they identified was, what was the one invasive species?
Yeah, it was variable milfoil out there. Typically, there's two invasives that we deal with, fanwort and milfoil. We did not find any fanwort out there this year, so.
Oh, good. Wasn't the fanwort higher last year or something? And I question whether it was because the milfoil had been,
Yeah, I think
Gone down.
in 2020, the fanwort was the dominant species out there, and it kind of flipped. Now it's just variable milfoil.
oh, good, good.
Right. He sent across also a map showing what areas were nominated for treatment for dealing with that invasive species. And they also brought up a new herbicide that, what's it's called?
Yeah, it's called Priscillacor, and we actually, we came in front of you last year. We treated Cocasset Lake with it in the spring of last year. It worked excellent, very selective, low toxicology, just targets the variable milfoil. It's a systemic product, so you get years and years of control. It acts very quickly as opposed to the Sonar, which you have to build up a concentration. So, it's been used a lot in New England, New Hampshire. That's all they use up there in all the lakes. So,
It's also supposedly very selective in what it affects, correct?
correct. It doesn't touch any of the native pond weeds out there that are beneficial.
Oh, wow.
So.
Now, how do you apply it?
So we have a GPS, we mix it in an onboarding tank, and then we have subsurface injection hoses in the back of the boat. So we just kind of follow the map of the GPS and, kind of make tracks over the plants.
Huh.
So.
Very interesting.
So what we're proposing is there's 3 areas that were designated as being target areas for that weed control issue. And then that's on the eastern side of the reservoir. On the western side of the reservoir, we're going to go with what we've used in the past for weed control measurements over there. Just to compare and contrast, how it does one area versus the other.
Is that more economical to do it that way? Or?
It is more economical. The new chemical is more expensive. So,
Always, yes.
Yeah, and we may be looking at having to do more treatment on the western side because of the use of the existing chemical, but never having done this before with this new chemical and also the additional cost, we thought it might be prudent to try it this way.
Will you be treating the cove, I guess you'd call it, adjacent to the water department land?
No,
Good.
no treatment down that far.
Because guess what eats the milfoil? It's their favorite food.
Turtles.
Turtles.
A rare creature that lives in the reservoir.
Okay,
Get enough of those going, and maybe you'd have your own treatment.
that's right. But also the chemical we'd be using over there will not affect any of the pondweed that's down that way towards the pump stations or down in that area. where
It's the
well field is.
milfoil that they eat. That's their
Right,
favorite.
but what grows down that way is
Oh,
a
gotcha.
lot of pondweed and
Gotcha.
stuff, so
All
it's
right.
pretty inaccessible once that takes over,
I bet.
so.
Any other questions, comments? All set. Thank you for your work on that, Rich. Thank you, gentlemen.
I do have one other quick update.
Okay.
We have been in touch with the DEP regarding potential dredging project on the reservoir. We have an issue that comes up, literally comes up, in August. These islands raise up, the bottom sediments trap the methane gases and raise up. And all of a sudden, people have said, oh, you've dropped the water level. No, we haven't dropped the water level. The ground has actually risen. And so Ken Wagner has recommended that we consider taking 2 to 4 feet of sediment out of those areas to allow the gases more easily escape. Before we decide at what depth or how much area, though, he would be contracted to go out and do soil cores and, well, first he's got to work up a sampling plan that would have to go to the DEP, and then we'd be getting more information from that, and then designing some type of removal program based on that information. So just very preliminary, but
Okay.
just wanted to let you know that that is semi in the works at this point.
Okay, thank you.
And how big of an area are they occupying on the surface?
There's 6 or 7 of them. None of them are probably more than 20 by 15 or something like that. They seem to be longer than you've seen them out there.
Yeah, they all vary in size.
They all vary in size. There's 6 or 7 of them that pop up. The whole, where they all are is way out in the middle of the reservoir. If you're familiar with it, there's Snake Island, and then on one side over near Ridge Road, and then on the other side is where Shoreline Drive is.
Okay,
And it's kind of the area in between there, which is a lot of open water. But they do pose the hazard of people out there in boats.
yeah.
If you don't know they're there, you'll ruin a prop. You could do all kinds of other damage.
Yeah.
So
Now, that kind of parallels Beach Street then.
it parallels it, but it's way out in the middle.
Yeah,
So you've
okay.
got 2 other islands that sit between Beach Street and where that is, but it does sort of parallel that, you know.
Yeah.
Why is it happening there?
Probably because of the depth of the peat. You know, this was a
Right.
bog before it was flooded.
Right.
And we did a survey probably 25 years ago, no, 30 years ago, where we pushed rods down in to try to find out how thick the peat was. And there were some areas we pushed down 30 feet and could not find bottom.
Peat moss is a very good carbon sink.
Yes, it is.
That's a new thing about, you don't want to have peat moss in your soils that you buy from the store, because it has to be dredged out, and it's also a good carbon sink. So,
At one point, before people knew that we had metals issues out there, they thought that that would be an economic thing that we could have dredged, and that would pay for other activities.
There you go.
Yeah,
Peat moss factory.
that didn't pan out.
Now, shall we say, the hazardous materials should be less in that area than going towards the Gudgeon Brook area.
That's correct, yes.
So,
Though
They are,
we don't have any samples that we're ever taking in that immediate area.
Mm-hmm.
The closest sample is over towards Blueberry Island.
okay,
And that had, the top 6 inches had 2,500 parts per billion of, or 2.5 parts per million of cadmium.
okay.
So that's the closest sample. That is 2 or 3 orders of magnitude less than what's over towards Gudgeon Brook. But it's still quite a bit.
Yeah,
And as you go further east, the numbers drop off.
yeah,
So,
I would think so, because Gudgeon Brook just goes towards the dam more, and that's the flow of it.
right. So that's going to be part of the core sampling and analysis to look at how much, if any, of the cadmium is still in there. and if that's going to be an issue for handling of the sediments and water and so forth.
Would you be putting up any buoys or anything to warn people about these?
That has not come up. It's been mostly word of mouth and also sending out pictures in the newsletter and things like that.
Thank you for the newsletter, by the way. That was nice. That you
Yeah.
put in a little blurb for buffer zones and cutting trees, not cutting trees, and things like that, so I appreciate it.
Yep, along with the swans.
Swans,
Yes,
yeah.
I'm glad you put that
Those
too, though.
swans.
I'm glad you put that too. They're really beautiful, but they really are invasive.
They're dangerous. They can be dangerous. So there's a lot of them out there. But no, we haven't thought about that. We did put out 2 buoys last year on either side of Blueberry Island for a slow.
I know that, yeah.
Slow area. We did purchase 3 more that we're thinking about putting out near Snake Island and out that way.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be coordinating that with
Good,
you folks, or letting you know once we know where they're going to go.
excellent.
But there's just narrow areas, and just having a buoy out there is just saying slow down.
Absolutely. You don't want to cause any liability issues either if someone goes and
Yeah.
does something they shouldn't too close to
Well,
shore.
the wakes, even the jet skis, if they go through there really fast, they put up a big wake, and it ends up washing stuff along the shoreline away.
Exactly, yeah, well, yeah, vegetation is very important, or else these sandy shores are going to just wash into the water, and they are.
Right.
I remember one year we tried to get a speed limit on the,
Yeah.
that didn't go very well.
No, that, I
They like
imagine,
to go
that
fast.
and motor sizes
Yes.
are very hot topics that are tough to get
Extreme.
agreement on.
Yeah.
So, but
It'd be
no,
nice-
we're not trying to do anything on either one of those, just
Okay.
trying to
At
warn
this
people
time.
about the narrow areas and where to go a little bit slower.
It'd be nice to keep noise level down, perhaps. Maybe you could have some sort of a noise level limit. Because I've heard a lot of complaints about jet skis, and people will say, oh, are they allowed on the lake? And I'm interested in buying a place. I'm like, no.
Yeah, they are noisier than most anything else that's out there.
They're destructive because they go places that they shouldn't.
Right.
Do we have a report that shows where the survey?
Yes.
I passed
In
it
your
around by
email.
email,
Yeah.
David.
I should have
I'll
gotten
have
it.
to print
It
one out
all
for
came
you.
through electronically. We
Yeah.
don't, we try to minimize, even the newsletter is electronic now. We try not to do paper,
I'll get you a copy.
I think
David.
that's great, yeah.
so. but,
David's email is stuck, so.
Oh, okay. Well, attachments and downloads and all that kind of stuff, it becomes an issue.
Now, just to ask you, is Cohasset going to be using that same type of herbicide?
So they used it last year, so I don't think we won't be doing anything this year.
Was it successful? Though they
Yeah,
never
yeah.
reported back to us, so.
Yeah, it worked out real well last year, so we haven't done the survey this year, but I'm guessing it'll,
When you do a survey, you will be sending us a copy,
oh, absolutely.
yeah.
They actually say that this is supposed to last, multiple years.
This is,
Oh, wow.
yes, yes.
What attaches it to just that specific plant? Is it genetically, does it have a DNA that seeks it out or something, like some of these new?
Yeah, it's just real specific. I mean, it just stops the plant from producing chlorophyll, but it's just
But why just the
engineered.
one? That's what's bizarre.
It just does the milfoil species. It is crazy.
And it's the same manufacturer
As what?
as the
Sonar.
sonar.
So Cipro.
Huh.
So it's a new product, relatively new product, but for at least, for our use of it, it's new, but it's not, it's like Colin was saying, it's being used in New Hampshire for quite a while.
Yeah. And I think the first spot they tried it out in New Hampshire, they hadn't, it was like 5 years after before they even found any milfoil.
Oh, wow.
So,
Wow,
That's-
that's amazing.
Yeah.
so,
Negative side effects at all?
no.
Because if it's going right into the system, the root system and stuff, it doesn't stick around if
The
it lasts that
half-life
long?
is, I think, just under 24 hours, or maybe even less.
That's crazy. What a country.
Better life through chemistry.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Any comments from the audience, or? Nope. Okay, all right.
Bob, can I remind you to, you didn't mention that we need another commission member. And we
No,
have
I
to put
didn't.
it through officially, but it's a good thing to get the word out.
Yeah. Okay. And while we're talking about that, Peter, Richard, and David, the selectmen will reappoint you tomorrow night. Unless you have objections. Okay, all right.
Oh, we have a choice?
No choice.
Not at all.
Remember, it's only 1 hour a week.
Yeah.
That's all it is, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much,
Okay,
gentlemen.
will we be receiving any kind of approval, or when can we proceed with the weed treatment?
You can do it immediately.
Well, I think
Nothing
they're
at me?
audited.
I'm sorry, I was just reading something.
When can we proceed with the weed treatment? They were talking about doing it the end of this month or early June, I believe. Yeah.
Just whatever the order of condition says, you usually are asked to send us a notice and post it and get
Get it in the
the
newspaper.
pesticide application approval or something. I don't have that on the top of my head. All I know is there's a series of little things that get
We-
done, and
We don't
you
need to
just do
vote
it.
today on the new chemical. It's really all
I think,
covered.
wasn't it included last year?
This one, no.
No, we have never used it before.
Okay, it wouldn't be a bad idea then. It's always good to have a paper trail.
Yeah.
No,
I
okay.
mean, it was approved for Comcast, but we've never broached the topic or used
Well, we
it.
don't want to assume by default that it's approved everywhere, but I think
Right.
it basically, in this case, would be. But, yeah, I don't know, I think that's,
So make a motion to approve the new chemical, what did we call it? Silicone?
Silicor?
Silicor?
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? So I think you're all set.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the permit is three, get their permit last 3 to 5 years, something like that.
I think they've got the permits for it.
Yeah, by the last 3 to 5 years, that they don't have to do anything else.
Next.
food for thought, guys. Just why don't you take one and pass it on? Bill, did you want to go first? Was that it?
Yeah, might as well.
You wanted to go last? Oh, okay. And the, yeah, Bob, sounds good to me.
All right. There.
Excuse me.
Okay. All right, I've got all of this in a different format. Jane, you want to start us off on the fishing derby activities?
Start you off. I gave you my cheat sheet. Want me to read from it?
Sure. And we've okay, those.
Oh, actually, I think I have that one.
Okay,
That wasn't nice. I didn't
You want
really
to-
do that.
mention what was the background of all of this?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah, give me the one that you have, please, because I thought I had a copy, but I don't.
Okay. Take both of them for now.
All right. Well, where do you want me to start? This year's
okay.
fishing derby was
Canceled by the Recreation Department.
canceled by the Recreation Department, and we've heard things that aren't happy, but I think you all would agree with me that the Conservation Commission would like residents to understand that we were fully in support of the Recreation Department's free family fishing derby at the Lane Conservation Area on Neponset Reservoir's waterfront. Commission members tried to help find a solution so that Recreation could hold the derby without clearing any of the shoreline. They suggested limiting the number of participants that fit in the shoreline's existing openings or holding several derbies on the same day, all to no avail. And we were all disappointed when the fishing derby was canceled. It would have been a wonderful opportunity for our community to get together for this fun outdoor activity. The commission has been an advocate for vegetated wetland buffers since 1996, when the 25-foot no activity zone, or NAZ, was added by a vote at town meeting to Foxborough's Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Then it was Article 9, I think. Other rules, regulations, and policies have been adopted since then to help ensure that our natural resources are protected. Scientific data demonstrate that vegetated buffer zones are critical to sustaining water quality, wildlife habitat, erosion control, and many other free services. And as a matter of fact, our professional group, the MACC, Mass Association of Conservation Commissions, put out this Wetlands Buffer Zone Guidebook that cites scientific studies about the importance of wetland vegetated buffer zones and the widths that are desired, et cetera. 25 feet is just a very bare minimum. And in particular, the peninsula at the Lane property is all sand. It's probably a sand deposit from glaciers. And where there is no vegetation, particularly at the point, there's a big tree, big pine tree, poor thing, that's leaning over. It's been undermined by lack of vegetation around it. There's absolutely no vegetation nearby, and it will probably topple into the water pretty soon because the vegetation holds the shoreline together. It also creates shade for fisheries that they need to. The young will live along the edges and such, and provides wildlife habitat and a number of other free services. So the commission has really been trying to educate the public about the importance of buffer zones and based on scientific data. So if the commission allowed Lane shoreline vegetation in the 25-foot no activity zone to be cut for a fishing derby, clear cut even, it would give attendees the wrong impression. We need to like parents, we need to show that we have to set a good example. So if it were cut, attendees might get the wrong impression that clearing the 25-foot no activity zone is allowed, but with few exceptions, it's not. So the commission had no other alternative than deny Recreation's request to clear the 25-foot no activity zone along Neponset Reservoir's fragile shoreline. The commission has set up all kinds of policies and procedures and regulations so that everyone's project is reviewed consistently and in the same fashion. And let's see, in 2017, they updated their conservation land rules and regulations, and then in 2021, the excerpts of those rules basically were incorporated or added as an appendix to the Board of Selectmen's use of town property policy and procedures. Because town land needs to be monitored, needs to be protected, and we need to know what's going on. So we actually set up a group use of conservation land application form that says, where are you gonna, where would you like to do it, how many people, from what time to what time, et cetera, et cetera. The Boy Scouts fill those out for us all the time because we allow camping at the Neponset, at the Lane property for scouting groups. And others have as well. We've received these from the library and that sort of thing because we like to know what's going on. That's where I'm going with this thing here. The commission has been trying for a long time to protect the town's conservation lands because they've been tasked with that. And we want to educate the public to let them know why it's important to do certain things.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the audience concerning the fishing derby? I will say one thing. My predecessor warned me to treat everyone equally, and that includes the commission. Our property is no different than a homeowner's property as to what we can do or cannot do. So he warned me that the minute you deviate from that and have special conditions for one person, everyone else is going to ask for the same thing. So we have to treat ourselves as we treat everyone else. So with that, I thought Ron Rogers was going to be here tonight, but he's not, so I think we can.
So let me add, I should say, I think this is a good opportunity to educate the public about use of conservation lands. We have rules and regulations, which basically state, take out, carry in, which carry out, be respectful of others, the whole bit. And we also have this procedure that we've set up if people want to use it, conservation land, and that procedure was not followed, even though I understand that the message was that they had followed the procedure. So the website needs to be updated because it's not as user-friendly as the older website. So and I hope that you would be able to find these things on the website under conservation land. And we've got all sorts of maps and forms and requests for use and rules and regulations. And we also have a new storyboard of Foxborough conservation lands that was put together by our GIS expert, Ryan Norton. So if you all haven't, we have some older maps with links that just don't work anymore. So if you go to the top of the conservation land and you look at conservation storyboard, it's pretty neat. Check it out.
Good, will do.
But we try to educate.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we have 31 Water Street, 157610, Mr. Buckley.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say, to go back to that last topic that you brought up, two things. The first is that I haven't been on the Lane property in probably 20 years. And I live down in that area. And I was there maybe a week or two ago. My wife and I were riding bikes through there. And I can't tell you what a great job you guys have done in that area. It looked great. There was a ton of people there, people fishing and stuff. Very impressive. The storyboards were out that Jane was talking about. Nice job. And the second thing I wanted to say was, it's good to hear you say that the government needs to live up to the same standards that you impose on private citizens. And sometimes that doesn't happen. I'm not saying at Foxborough, but there's the sometimes you say, well, it's for the public good. Well, who defines that? And the public is the people who come before you as well. So, bravo for making that your policy. So to get back to my project,
Thank you, Bill.
I'm here representing Steve Gringari, and this is on 31 Water Street. And I've filed this letter. I had discussion with Ms. Pierce on the changes that were made, and as we all remember, this was, went through a great deal of detailed examination by the commission, neighbors, consultants hired by neighbors, et cetera. So as what happens a lot of times, actually all the time, when we initially file with the commission, we are working off of an initial set of plans. We don't have final drawings, house drawings, or building drawings or anything like that. So, we come before you at an early stage, and then what happens is as things, they get fine-tuned as things go forward. So that's, in this particular case, because of the sensitivity of the area and the sensitivity of the neighbors, I wrote this letter to the commission, and I submitted 2 sets of plans to you, which, if you don't mind, I'll share. Let me, see, this one right here. This is the one I want to share. And this is the one, and what I should have done with you is I should have changed the dates or done something on it, but it's got a highlight on it. So the one that you have has highlighting, and here I haven't highlighted it, it's just in red, but I'm going to zoom in on it. And then we can kind of talk through it. And I'm going to use my letter as my guide. So what's happened here is the house has increased in size. You can see in red or highlighted in yellow, what you have is what the original house plan was. And then in the dark black, this is the new plan. And what it's done is basically the house has kind of gotten fatter. It didn't get wider, it actually shrunk from left to right as you're looking at the drawing. But it did get fatter, and it went from 7,200 square feet to 7,800 square feet, which is amazing. But that's the way it is. The major change was the elimination of this little, what I would call it, like it wasn't an apartment, but it was a separate bedroom over there in the corner. This area is the garage. This was the main house. Again, I'm showing you the old house in red up on the drawing.
Can you zoom in a tiny bit more, Bill?
I certainly can. Is that better?
A little bit,
I can go in a little bit more.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the one you're showing is the one that's highlighted in yellow on our plans?
What's highlighted in yellow in your plan is the red on this plan.
Okay.
That's the old plan.
And that is the plan that you've approved.
Right.
So that was what was approved that night.
Okay.
So the major change is, I'm going to highlight it here.
There you go. That's
So
easy to
this
see.
nook or addition portion has been eliminated. So the garage is still there, but this additional bedroom off of it has changed. And you can also see that the configuration of the building has changed. So the angle changed in there as well. Over here, the original design had what I would call a breakfast nook. I'm not sure what it was, but I would call it a breakfast nook. So that was eliminated, and it was kind of straightened out in this area. And this at one point, let me just go through my letter. It'll be easier, it'll be cleaner. So the pool size has been decreased from 492 square feet, which was the red, to 233 square feet, which is that. You can see that is the pool. The patio size decreased. So the old patio, if you follow the red here, kind of went like this. Has decreased from 1,364 square feet to 1,164 square feet. The driveway area, so this is this red, which is highlighted in yellow in yours. The driveway was very linear before, came off and then went straight down. That driveway area within the buffer zone has decreased from 3,450 square feet to 2,718 square feet. And the reason for that is, I'm going to point that out here, is so you can see what they've done is they've brought it in like that. They put this curve in there So it was nice and linear, because that's the way I roll. I'm an engineer, I draw straight lines. So they probably gave this to an architect who thinks in 3 dimensions. So this, they put that in, so it pushed it away. You can see where the old driveway was here. They pushed it out, but we did push it out a little bit in this area here in order to get the 30 feet, which is a comfortable turn. So the total impervious area in the buffer zone is decreased from 12,174 square feet to 11,662 square feet. Additional area that was adding in pavement, but which is outside of the buffer zone, is a lot of this out here. The buffer zone is the red. You know, I changed the color so you can see. So it goes like here, 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 and then down here. A lot of driveway was added in this area here, but for the most part, it's outside the buffer zone. So at its closest point, the revised house location is, and this is wrong, I say it's 56 feet from the BVW. It's not. This is the closest point here. It's 39 feet from the BVW, which is still less. And I say less than the approved design. It's really not less. It's further away than the approved design. So it's 39 feet as opposed to 36, which is what it was over here at its closest point. The pool is now 69 feet from the BVW, where before you can see it was 52 feet. So that's an improvement. Location of the septic system, which is down here, hasn't changed, and in this area hasn't changed. And then we have this roof drain system. We have one here, and one here for the front and one for the back. That hasn't changed. Where I just talked about the fact that the driveway now curves in toward the center, and so we have less area in there, about 717 square feet less. And I didn't put that on here, but this line used to come in like that. So we have less clearing in here.
It follows the topography better now, does it? Or were you going to fill it over there? No, you had a.
You're right, Jane. It was more of a fill going that way. So
Now it is in keeping with the topography better.
It's better than it was. You still have that dip. This is a dip through here, and then it goes back up. We still have this depression in the front, so we're going to drive all of the runoff from the driveway into this depression where it will infiltrate, and then if it overflows, it will go out through a pipe. That was the same design as we had the last time. There was, and I don't know if you remember the order, it was very detailed in the sequence of work that had to be done and what had to be done. And right now, I just actually walked by there this evening before I came here. So he's doing the invasives removal. He's got Pear Corporation in there monitoring it. My understanding is she's keeping Jane informed of what the progress is. He's doing some invasives removal around the existing house. Again, that was part of the original order. Some invasives were killing a big tree that's there. Worth noting, I guess, is part of the original order was removing the existing house. He's now decided that he's not going to remove that house. So I don't know if you've had a chance to go by, but he's in there now. He's, I don't know if he's gutting it or not, but he's doing improvements. I mean, there's holes in the side, there was holes in the roof, there's a new roof now. So that house will remain, and he's going to either rent it or sell it, so that's a positive, I think. And because it was such a detailed order, there is a boilerplate condition in all the orders that say any changes have to come before the commission. We don't bring them all before the commission because there's always a change. I think what's important to note here is the limit of work line that the commission spent so much time working on has not moved closer to the wetlands. It's actually come in a little bit more on the left side where the driveway is as you're looking at your plan. And that's it. I just, in my opinion, which I know I don't get to vote, I think that these would be considered minor, and that in that they don't impact the interest protected under the act as related to the conditions that the commission put on the original order. So I'm prepared to answer any questions.
A quick question, Bill. On the original house, where's the septic system? And will that have to be upgraded?
So right now, I'm just showing this right here. We didn't spend, because we were going to tear the house down, so I didn't spend a lot of time looking for it, but we did look for it. So if you pull up in the driveway, the septic tank is right here. We think it's a 1,500-gallon tank. If Cam was here, he would know because he did the inspection. So that comes out here. I think it comes out from this point here. The septic tank is there. We found 2 pits that go out, and there's one over here and over here. Right now, what happens is it's like a 12-page form that you have to fill out for a Title V inspection. But basically, the reality is this. Is the septic tank cracked? No, because that tank is full, so we can see that. And actually, it's overfull, so we think there's a clog between the tank and the pit. We don't know how the pits connect yet, so we're checking that out right now. We opened up the leaching pits. As you can imagine, I don't know when the last time the house was lived in, so they're dry. So by Title V, the system is fine.
Passes.
System passes. We're not going to go with that. My client, he wants the reality. So what we're going to do now is we're going to clear that line and unclog it, which is what we think. We'll probably have to run a camera through. So we'll clear that line, see what happens, and then what we'll probably do is just run a hose in the septic tank and let it run for, I don't know how long. We'll run it and see what happens, and we'll watch it. The soils there are perfect. That whole peninsula is probably an old cane, it's just gravel. So we'll see what happens, and if the pits continue to work well, and they're not in the water table, which I don't think they are, that system will be fine. And if not, we will go back before the Board of Health for a septic repair, and we probably won't be coming to see you because everything is outside the 100-foot.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely be going to see the Board of Health.
I just wonder if where your new septic system is going in, is that going to interfere distance-wise with the new one for the old house?
So the way the Title V, the Title V requirement is that if you have septic systems next to each other, near each other, there has to be a minimum of 10 feet. So we should have no problem meeting that. I'm not sure how we're going to do that. We're going to try and, if we have to repair, we'll definitely be outside the 150. And what we want to do is we want to be outside the 200 because that water body is a tributary to a surface water supply. So we want to be at least 200 feet away from that because if it's a septic repair, the Board of Health sometimes, it's a whole new Board of Health though. I don't know if you know that. The board is completely new except for the chairwoman who's been there, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. So they have different, it's a different board. Those 3 guys were on there for decades. So you just knew what they wanted and the way they did it. But this board is new and you have a new agent, relatively new. So I don't know what they would ask us to do. They might ask for an IA system, which is what Cam was describing to you on the 2 repairs that you saw tonight. The old board would have never asked for those. They're fine with just what you said twice. Hey, this is a huge improvement over what's there. So we're not going to require you to do that. So it always keeps changes. I don't know how it will end up, but if we have to repair it, I don't see us coming back to you.
Okay.
And there's no plan to change the footprint at all of that house now that
No.
he's keeping it?
Yeah, it's a beautiful house. I mean, I haven't seen it in years, but he's cleared some of the brush in the front there, so now you can see
Yeah, it
it.
looks real nice.
Does look nice.
Yeah.
I got a question, just because I wasn't taking a lot of notes because I figured I would just look at your letter with all
Yeah.
of the numbers.
Yeah.
But you at one point said the closest point is 39 feet, not 65, as it states in the letter?
Not 56.
Not 50, well, I
I'd say
guess I have
56 or
a
50.
dyslexic memory.
Yeah.
56.
So that's the 3rd page, first line, Jane.
Okay, no, I just wanted to. Thank you.
So I hope it was clear. I was trying to highlight and make it clear. I know the plan is very busy. The next stage he's getting ready to do is to put up his fence and do the plantings around the 25,
Okay.
inside there before he starts any of the construction, which again was a condition to do that, which I usually don't agree with because nobody does the landscaping first, but because of the fact that this was such a sensitive project area and everybody was nervous about it,
Yep.
that's fine.
So you have three choices to vote on this. One is for, well, do you have it in front of you? One's insignificant, one is to amend the order of conditions, and one is to file a new notice of
File a new
intent.
notice, right?
And that's why I asked Bill to put in the numbers of the square footage
Yeah.
changes. And it sounds to me like he's decreased a lot, and the driveway's decreased, and the house is shorter, but fatter.
Everything is moving away from the wetlands, so.
Yeah,
So it's a favorable.
that's what I think.
I know, didn't we try to get him to get rid of that little bump out?
And
You
we
did. Right, everybody wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah, so this is great, I think.
Yeah, so I think it's, my one voice says it's a definite improvement to the old plan, so.
So insignificant.
Insignificant.
Good.
I mean,
And the
I
minutes
agree.
can reflect that, if you vote on it. So you making a
All right, sure.
motion?
Make a motion? Make a motion to determine the changes at 31 Water Street, DEP 157-610 are deemed insignificant.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you for the kind words, Bill. It's nice to hear positive feedback.
Yes.
It's very nice.
We
I
have
really,
been-
I don't think I've been there since the town bought it. So that was probably 30 years ago.
We have our informal stewards who really maintain and take care of it and
Good.
pick up the trash
There
and
was
tell me
no
if there's a
trash.
problem. It's amazing. One thing I want to say about our stewards and our meters and graders at the Lane Learning Center,
Yes.
I want to make a public announcement thanking Don Kinney, who's one of our senior greeters, and he is extremely patriotic, and he noticed that the flag was missing, I believe, from the flagpole. So he went out and he bought one with his own pennies,
Okay.
and I just wanted it to be known that he did that. And the senior volunteers, tax write-off volunteers who work there are a tremendous help with that property, and they love it. They've taken it on their own.
And Don also informed me that he went up to the Saley property and cleaned up that garden.
That's right, yes.
So that was also a big asset.
That's true, that's true. I meant to say that too, and I wasn't thinking about it. But, yeah, he's a interesting person to kind of teach this
Did you
native
want to say
planting.
anything or have any comment about?
No, we were mainly here for 164 East Street, sorry.
Oh, okay.
And just wanted keeping an eye on that, on the
Okay.
All
All right.
162 abuts it, but then my 162 abuts it, because there's two 162 East Street.
Of course there are.
That is one.
Okay,
All right,
thank you. Have a good evening.
Oh, but in any case, Don Kenny, he comes from my father's way of thinking, where you have lovely grass that you fertilize and cut and make for pretty, and you rake up all the leaves and, on and on and on. Do things more formally. And he just couldn't understand what I was talking about when I said, plant native plants and don't pick up the leaves. So he calls it, there's nature landscaping and there's landscaping. So he actually has taken ownership of the, basically the gardens that are around the patio, and then
Okay.
also the Saley Properties front
Okay.
area, because he wanted to see it look nice. And he also is an informal steward of the Kersey Point,
Oh, okay.
because he lives right over there, and he can keep an eye on it. But, you know, he's an interesting guy, and I have been trying to see how he looks at things, and then see how they're advocating this stuff that Doug Tallamy, native plants and stuff thing. So it's a whole change in attitude, to the point where if your native plants are being bug-eaten, you go, yay, because the native bugs co-evolved with the native plants, and the bugs feed all of the birds, and, yeah, it's mind-blowing, sort of. Kind of cool, though.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
There's 2 certificate of compliances on here.
Yeah. Have you got the certificates?
Did they ever file a request for the certificates, or did they actually tell me about it, and that was all?
No, there's emails.
Emails, but did they, okay,
It has letters, plans, electronic. I don't think hard copies ever came, but it's all electronic.
okay, because it's been so long since we've had a meeting, and I know I've talked about that with the DPW and the Water Department. So if they say things are done the way they're supposed to be done, then I think I believe them, because their consultants represent the town.
Mm-hmm.
I am no engineer.
About the Oak Street wells, is this a real old project? Because it was
Oldish.
just recently that we walked that area. They were doing some work down on the wells.
I think that was the new wells, yeah.
That's a new well
Yeah.
that we put in.
Right.
Well, not too recently, it was,
That was
Years
pretty
ago.
recent.
Years,
Well-
a couple of years.
More cold.
I mean,
So is that,
Oak Street's
This one?
from 2020, and Witch Pond's from 2021.
yeah,
I think they just want to button up their files and
okay.
and get everything all nice and tidy, and,
yeah. Because they're working on that pipe, the run from not Lamson Road, Sprague Road down to the,
yes.
right,
because they've got that contract, I think, out now, so.
Yes, yeah, and they've done really good work at the West Street Dam.
Yeah.
The water upstream seems a little low, but hopefully some beavers will block it up or something.
Yeah, okay. So, do you want us to,
You need to vote, then you can sign.
okay,
What are we voting on?
Witch Pond wells and the Oak Street wells, certificate of compliance requests.
So we're going to issue a negative
no,
determination?
this is certificate of compliance,
Where are we?
down,
Oh, I got you, okay. So, vote to issue a certificate of compliance for Witch Pond Wells, DEP 157-604.
Second?
discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay.
Issue another certificate of compliance for Oak Street Wells, DEP 157593.
Say it quick 3 times.
Second.
I'll be afraid what comes out.
Okay. Discussion, all in favor?
Thank you.
Opposed?
It's time to go.
It is time to go.
You say no minutes.
now we just got it.
Okay, all right.
The minutes you've had for a while, March 6th and March 20th. I just
I
did the April 3rd ones last week, but the other 2 were done a long time ago.
But I just got them at the beginning of this meeting.
That's
He doesn't have
because-
email, yeah.
That's because you don't have email. Yes.
That doesn't mean you couldn't call me up and tell me to come down and pick them up.
That's true. I get
If you wanna do
interrupted
that.
often.
All the minutes are supposed to be approved within 3 meetings.
Yes, during the last department head meeting, our new town manager, John, put the fear of God in me about these open meeting law and public records laws, one of which, I guess, if somebody wants the minutes and they ask the chair for a copy, he has to submit or respond, I think submit the minutes, a copy of the minutes, whether they're in draft form or whatever, within 10 calendar days, not business days, as I'd always believed. If it's 10 or under, it's business, and if it's 11 or over, it's calendar. So that was strange, and I guess town council wasn't even aware of that one. But they're getting, this person knows the law. He is an open meeting law advocate, and he knows it in and out. So he's keeping us in line, basically. And one of those things was, you need to approve your minutes within, what is it, a couple meetings or 3 weeks, whatever. 3 meetings?
No, we haven't met since April.
We haven't
but
had
you've
many
had
meetings.
plenty of time to read these minutes, so. June 5th, all these are getting approved. Our next meeting's in 2 weeks.
I'll print them out and deliver them to Dave.
Oh, I got them right now.
You got
Okay.
Just got them. This.
I can do that on an ongoing basis, though, if that helps. Or we could set up your email.
Maybe I should start delivering stuff to David like we used to do in the olden days.
Yes.
When I was on the commission in Holliston, we used to get a little packet in the mail with all sorts of paper copies of stuff.
I used to deliver it to every one of my members by car.
So yes, yes. But David,
So, all
you
right.
need email.
So can we do these next meeting and,
Yes.
okay, all right. Anything else on the agenda? If not,
So we have a site meeting after Memorial Day.
what's
Yes.
that?
We have a site meeting after Memorial Day.
Yes, we have a site.
Oh, and I want to mention one thing. I did not put this in my agent's report, and I'm not asking you to vote on it, but there is our hazardous tree policy, that if there is one tree that is hazardous, meaning might fall on a house or something like that, or squish somebody, then an arborist, a certified arborist, can certify that that tree is in fact hazardous, and then the person can get it cut down if it's within, I'm sorry, I left this out, if it's within 100 feet of a resource area. The arborist can certify that it is in fact hazardous. I go out and look at it and say, life is good, you can cut it down. Well, we did receive a request for 2 trees, and this is a different kind of situation. I think I'm going to need to tell this man he needs to file a request for determination. A house on Neponset Reservoir with some really beautiful and extensive stonework fireplace, stonework, this, that, and the other thing. That was obviously built too close to a couple of beautiful, very healthy pine trees. Very old, very healthy. And he wants to cut them down, and I don't feel comfortable saying that's okay. So
What's the rationale for wanting to cut them down?
they're encroaching on his stonework, and, I mean, you'd think when it was put in, they would have put it far enough away from the tree that will grow. And pine trees get quite big, but I mean, they're healthy as can be. And the rest of the waterfront area
Now,
has
is this
no
on
trees or
Ridge
anything.
Road?
It's on Ridge Road, but it's interesting, there's lawn down to the water, but there's a big, beautiful stone wall. It's not even a retaining wall. So I figure, well, if the water goes down the grass, it's going to stop there and infiltrate into the ground. So is that good? I don't think it's great, but it's not bad. But those 2 big trees, I just don't feel comfortable approving it. I don't see how they can be considered hazardous. They're hazardous to his fireplace and
yeah.
beautiful stonework. I mean, it's beautiful. But I don't know if you all would agree with that. But I think I'm going to ask him to file a request for determination.
Okay. And
Does
get
that
an
sound good?
Get an arborist, have him get an arborist.
He did get an arborist to sign it, that it was hazardous. They're fine. They're very, very healthy. They're hazardous to his fireplace, which is this
Okay.
really beautiful, big stone fireplace.
Did the arborist take a core sample right into the middle to see if there's rock inside?
I doubt it.
Because that's the way we would do it. You know, that's very simple to get a course.
Well, hazardous, I think, needs to be defined as hazardous to a building or to, a hazard to health and safety, not hazardous to,
I mean, by that logic, if a really mature tree is within, quote, falling distance of a house, and the homeowner says, I'm really concerned during a big storm, this tree is gonna fall on my house, is that not a hazard?
that would be, probably.
Right. So
But I don't
whether the
feel
tree is
like-
healthy or not, but I
And it's
guess,
supposed to be for one tree also, this is two trees, so,
Yeah, well,
twins.
the thing of it is, as you know, trees protect trees. The more you
That's
take,
it.
yeah,
the more you take out, the more,
fall down.
They protect trees, they protect the soil underneath them,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be a nitpicker, but I also don't want to say I agree that this is hazardous, and it is more than one anyway, so he's been asking me about it, and I feel badly, but I just,
Well, the last windstorms, 4 or 5 windstorms have been more than enough to snap those type of trees.
if they haven't come down yet.
yeah, yeah.
But I think I'll let you guys deal with it, because it's above my status and responsibility, I think. Just wanted to get your kind of agreement, or no, you're full of it, so just accept it. But no, they didn't say anything about core samples.
So with that, anything else?
I don't think so.
Do you hear a motion?
Make a motion to close the hearing?
During the meeting.
Adjourn.
Meeting. I knew it picked the wrong one.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you, one and all. And again, thank you for stepping up for our
Thank you.